I have something important to tell you. Where's my soapbox? There's a big problem confronting the legal system and the legal profession that is a big part of that system, and it's destroying licensed lawyers. The problem is one of unhealthy use of alcohol and drugs, mental health issues, and suicide, all from the stress and anxiety that has come to plague the legal profession. In order to solve this growing problem, we must heed the words of Albert Einstein. No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. I am here to talk to you about the elephant in the room. Actually, there are several elephants. Each have their own room. They are things we don't like to talk about, but we must if we're to find a solution. One elephant is the high incidence of problematic substance use, mental breakdowns, and suicide issues among lawyers, leading to the undoing of law careers, mostly within the first 10 years. Another elephant reminds us that the current leading stakeholders in the legal industry are not serving the needs of troubled lawyers. Without assessing blame, this elephant tells us we are missing something that escapes our understanding. And the third elephant knows that we must fill the unmet needs of those troubled lawyers by trying something new, and there is no time to waste. So, we must not look away from the first elephant. It's the one showing statistics of failed careers as lawyers because of unmanageable stress and anxiety. In the year 2000, statistics show that 1 in 5 lawyers faced problems with drugs and alcohol, or having a mental breakdown, or issues with suicide. Close to 20% of all lawyers were practicing in an impaired state of being, and people were hiring them to act on their behalf. By the way, the green and gray guys are lawyers, just so you know. That was the year 2000. In about 2014, 2015, the American Bar Association with the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation conducted a new study to learn how lawyers were faring. At the same time, there was a study being conducted at the law school level involving respondents from 15 law schools. The bottom line of those two studies showed a lot of things, including that newly licensed attorneys across this country now face an almost 1 in 3 likelihood of problems with substance abuse and mental health issues. 1 in 3. Whoever you are, you must want that to change for the better. What conclusions require our attention that are drawn from these recent two studies, one of law students and one of practicing lawyers? 1. The problem with stress and anxiety, the use of substances, and the incidence of mental health issues begin in law school and worsen after becoming licensed. 2. The statistics show that the level of distress and problematic use of drugs and alcohol begins in law school and worsens until it levels off at about the 10th year. Which means, by the way, that the reason the levels taper off at the 10th year is obviously because many of those troubled young lawyers are dropping out of the profession and no longer being counted, even after 3 years of law school and who knows how much debt. 3, and this is a biggie, the respondents struggling with substance use, by and large, realize they need help, but will not reach out for it, for fear of consequences on their careers. Let's stop for a second and talk about who these stakeholders are. Who are the leaders of the legal profession that have been dealing with these issues for the past 20 years, and whose cooperation is required for a new approach? Who are they? They are either governmental or non-governmental organizations. Every one of them has a mission that expressly aims to support the success of lawyers, but our focus must be on the American Bar Association, of course, the leading lobbyist for the legal profession. Importantly, the ABA instituted the Campaign for Lawyer Well-Being in response to these recent statistics to address the discouraging numbers of lawyers whose careers are lost, but more on that later. Oops, Sorry, let me interrupt myself to tell you what LAP is. Every state has a LAP that is part of the authority that disciplines members of the bar. LAP means Lawyers Assistance Program, and it includes judges and gets involved when lawyers or judges are having a problem with substance use, drugs, and alcohol. There are hundreds of governmental and non-governmental organizations that are stakeholders with missions to support and promote the success of new lawyers. There are national, state, and local bar associations, judges associations, access to justice, NGOs, mediation and arbitration providers, CLE providers, law schools and their 501c3 foundations, Inns of Court, list serves, LAP programs. The list goes on and on. All of these stakeholders care about the well-being of lawyers, new ones and experienced ones. And every one of these stakeholders suffers an economic loss when a lawyer's law career is impaired by stress, anxiety, substance overuse, mental illness, and suicide. And we cannot fix what is ailing the legal profession and causing high numbers of destroyed careers if we don't honestly assess what we're doing and not doing for the newest members of the bar. The ABA cares about the well-being of all lawyers because a lawyer who is able to stay balanced and well despite the ups and downs of a law practice is unquestionably more competent. And that is the key to success as a member of the legal profession. Every stakeholder profits when lawyers are healthy, wealthy, and wise. We must reach beyond ourselves. Although the ABA and other legal organizations didn't create the drug and alcohol addictions or mental health problems that interfere with a successful law career, the leadership of the ABA, with the affirmance of every other stakeholder to follow its lead, can help to bring a simple, sensible solution to the lawyers in their fold. Before we consider possible solutions, let's be clear about the problem. Lawyers are committing suicide in higher numbers than any other profession, neck and neck with dentists. People are curious about why dentists, but no one ever wonders why lawyers. So let me make some statements and see if we can agree. Can we agree that the impairment from stress and anxiety have gotten substantially worse in the last 20 years? Check. We don't know exactly what to do, but we know what we've been doing is not enough. Check. For a solution to work, it needs support throughout the legal industry. Check. The studies show that the first 10 years of becoming licensed is the most vulnerable time for new lawyers. Check. The bad news is that close to 1 in 3 lawyers are succumbing to the stress and anxiety of the legal profession within the first 10 years. Check. But the good news is that 2 out of 3 current lawyers are doing okay. Check. Importantly, we know that law students and lawyers who are struggling with addictions and mental illness will not reach out for help. We know that. Check. Which means helpful information must come to them. Check. We also know there is no one source of basic information to help lawyers manage the stress and anxiety of practicing law without running into trouble. Check. The problem seems beyond a solution, but only if we expect legal organizations to solve the problems of drug and alcohol overuse and mental health problems. Check. It's fair to say that legal organizations aren't to blame for the drug and alcohol dependency problems, nor the mental health issues, nor do they exist to solve those problems. But maybe we can find a solution if we step back and see what's missing from our current paradigm. So what's missing? Surety is missing. It needs to replace happenstance. Number 1, the paradigm of the Internet expects the people in need of helpful information to search for it on the Internet in order for them to benefit from it, which means they need to know what they are looking for and be willing to reach out to find it. This means that a new lawyer's decision regarding which professional organization to join is not based on the nature of the helpful information that is supplied to its members. And usually there is a fee to join, an expense that is requested before the consumer can appreciate the value of the organization. What any member gets from their bar association, for example, will depend entirely on the leaders of that association, which changes annually, and quality of the offerings, which may be hit or miss. Some members may reap great benefits, some not so much. This leads to more happenstance, surety is lost, and happenstance becomes the rule. Hence, that is the first point, namely that happenstance often decides the fate of which lawyers get the right kind of helpful information for their personhood. At a time when a new lawyer really has no idea what help they will need, whether the right kind of helpful information will find its way to any given lawyer is a matter of complete happenstance. And a lawyer's success or failure should not be decided by happenstance. Unfortunately, we must somehow overcome the happenstance of what information reaches lawyers, new and experienced alike. What we need is a way for all lawyers to receive the same supportive, basic information that promotes every lawyer's physical and emotional well-being, regardless of what this or that lawyer organization has to offer. So, how and why should lawyers have access to the same information, and what information should that be? Let me take you back in time to medieval times, when everyone got the same news at the same time. It came from the town crier, who walked along cobble streets, ringing his bell and shouting the news. If it was news, everyone heard it the same. Now, with digital information highways, it's up to the lawyers to find and join associations before they ever receive any information from them. And even then, it depends upon what information that association chooses to provide at any given moment in time. Some lawyers will belong to more than one group, some will belong to none. Again, happenstance. However, we mustn't lose sight of the fact that the majority of lawyers are doing fine with our current paradigm of promoting the successful practice of law. For those who are healthy in body and mind and spirit, the approach of our state and local bar association is doing a great job. Trophies for them. But we now know that the stress and anxiety of practicing law has crept into the fabric of the legal profession. Importantly, we don't know the names of the lawyers who are struggling until they crack up, because addictions and mental health issues are hidden from view until that lawyer is lost. Thus, although the ABA recognizes the existential need to address the stress and anxiety that has pervaded the legal profession, solutions are harder to find. This is because the addiction and mental health problems being experienced by lawyers have permeated our profession while we were busy helping lawyers become good at their craft. We see the lives being projected onto a professional career, but the lives that lawyers lead outside the office may be surprisingly different from the one their colleagues see. So we have to ask, what is the problem? And then we have to ask, how does a problem like that get solved? Helen Keller famously said, "Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much." The solution is in front of our eyes if we just fill in the missing spaces. We only have to ask the ABA, the undisputed representative of the legal profession, to do one thing, one simple thing, namely, to help the leading health and wellness NGOs bring their strategies of dealing with drug and alcohol addictions and mental health problems to the lawyers who need their kind of help. It's really quite simple, and everyone wins. The benefits, economic and societal, will please all of us. All that is needed is to create a special newsletter that serves as a clearinghouse of digital information, carrying the wisdom of health and wellness NGOs to the lawyers in this country. In that way, NGOs, both legal and wellness, can get a free right to market their NGO and provide important information devoted to the well-being of lawyers and in no way competitive with what the legal community is doing through its associations. Without impacting the marketing budget of an NGO, it can get exposure and information to an important audience in need of their wares. Here's the solution. We can reach all lawyers with a free monthly newsletter called The Lawyer's Crier. Called that because it brings helpful information to all lawyers at the same time. And it's free to all lawyers, so the wealth and happenstance don't interfere with the personal success of lawyers. Think of the Lawyer's Crier as a digital train, carrying information from NGO organizations, crossing the institutions of law and wellness, aimed specifically at helping lawyers manage the stress and anxiety of the legal profession, dealing with addictions and mental illness. And what will be in this monthly newsletter? First, any nonprofit organization that has information they think will bring help to troubled lawyers will get its article put into the Lawyer's Crier. It becomes a clearinghouse of NGO information. The stakeholders decide the content, not the Lawyer's Crier. It serves only as a curator and deliverer of information from NGOs. For example, the American Bar Association will be featured every month, as will every state bar and lap programs for the state that is host to the law school. And each of them can submit monthly articles, plus state and major bar associations. And this is where the magic comes in, the magic of mutualism, the power of institutional cooperation, and how everybody wins. First, we will concede to the idea called mentoring at law. We all know the value of friendly mentoring, where a seasoned lawyer shows new lawyers how to avoid certain painful lessons that tend to appear in the practice of law. Any painful lesson can grow out of control, and the untapped wisdom of our senior lawyers is being wasted in a sea of misery. Some lawyers find a mentor, most don't. Actually, many of you may already know that one leading stakeholder across the nation is Inns of Court, that has as its hallmark the importance of mentoring in improving the quality of justice. Judges know that lawyers who are healthy, wealthy, and wise are a valuable part of the judicial system. The truth is that lawyers who aren't appropriately dealing with the stress, anxiety, and depression of their law practice bring their dysfunction into the legal matters they are handling, causing delays in the administration of justice, increased costs to their clients and adversaries, and malpractice claims in their wake. Judges form the Inns of Courts, and one of its strategic goals is to assist new lawyers in finding a mentor. A highlight of this plan is a 5-star, 8-hour audio course offering a quality course that every new lawyer should hear. It's the kind of mentoring that all lawyers can profit from, regardless of who they know or what association they belong to. I have called it How to Deal with Clients and Still Enjoy Practicing Law. Ask any experienced lawyer who practices in the trenches, and they will all agree that clients, while necessary to the practice of law, are also the biggest problem that comes from the practice. Learning how to deal with clients from the start of practicing law can make or break a career. Truthfully, partners in law firms don't have the time to teach these things to their new associates, even though most of the problems that befall law firms come from disgruntled clients. This course is risk management with a capital RM, sure to reduce mistakes and client turmoil. Every seasoned lawyer knows the value of the lessons in this 8-hour audio course, which I call Mentoring at Law. Here are the 8 segments. Ask yourself how much a course like this will help a new lawyer in any career path, how it will reduce malpractice and improve competence. There is 1 hour each on 1. Why dealing with clients can make or break you. 2. Professional responsibility, Part 1. Why following the ABA model rules will keep you safe. 3. How to vet your clients before you take them, plus how to be a good advisor once you do. 4. How to avoid the unseen traps when entering into an attorney-client fee agreement. 5. How to warn your clients about the black hole of litigation without having to experience the pain for yourself. 6. How and why to raise the subject of insurance when deciding to take a client's case. 7. Why settlement and mediation are your saving grace and how not to blow it. 8. What to do when you make a mistake or when the practice of law is getting you down. The website behind the Lawyer's Crier newsletter will also carry a never-before-offered directory of mentors at law. Mentors at Law will be seasoned lawyers offering their confidential guidance at affordable rates to help other lawyers to analyze ethical dilemmas. The practice will be offered by lawyers with more than 25 years' experience, actively licensed by some state, and with substantial experience on ethical rules. This would be a limited practice for semi-retired lawyers who could enjoy the intrinsic satisfaction from helping lawyers deal with a dire dilemma. It's an awful feeling to have nowhere to turn. Nothing like it exists today. Even though lawyers can be hired for this kind of advice, there is no easy way to find affordable ones who are especially familiar with their state's ethical rules. There are so many good reasons to make this kind of practice more accessible, which JudgingTheLaw.com would do. 1. Mentoring is a great use of the wisdom inside the heads of seasoned lawyers with time on their hands. 2. Seasoned lawyers at the twilight of their career welcome opportunities to pay their success forward and help lawyers in trouble. 3. Many senior lawyers can use the extra income that could come from a limited law practice devoted to guiding lawyers with ethical dilemmas. 4. Using the good talents of senior lawyers as advisors to lawyers with confidential ethical problems is a great way for lawyers to stay safe from ethical breaches which benefit every part of the legal system. 5. It's no more weird than any other practice of law, except it is limited to consulting about ethical issues according to the state version of the ABA model rules. 6. The mentor at law can guide a lawyer in the context of an attorney-client confidential relationship regarding how to analyze and accommodate ethical quandaries related to particular client matters. 7. No state bar can offer specific legal advice to a lawyer in ethical trouble. E&O carriers offer hotlines to their insured lawyers, but there may be lots of reasons a lawyer needs independent advice from their own lawyer. So here's the plan. So the big idea is to persuade big law firms and other big companies to buy the course and give it as a gift to one law school by way of making an endowment to that law school. And the law school will see that all of their graduates, all of their alumni, have it for free for themselves and their firms. That will help to make them all healthy, wealthy, and wise. And that will make them more competent, which is what we want lawyers to be first and foremost. The only thing the law school needs to do is to receive this gift for the benefit of its students and to let them all know how to go about claiming it for themselves or their firms. The law schools just need to send an email to all its alumni announcing the gift from the law firm to improve the competency of all lawyers and decrease mistakes and malpractice. What's it worth to any size law firm, small to big law, to reduce the number of claims against the firm, often within the deductible, and often used to offset uncollected fees? Instead of charging lawyers and firms for the download of the 8-hour audio course, big law firms and other big companies will simply buy the course as a gift to a particular law school by making an endowment to that law school. The ABA's only role is to tell all law schools, which they already oversee, to enthusiastically accept the endowed gift and notify all their alumni about the gift and encourage them to receive the gift by signing up for the Lawyer's Crier and downloading it for free. The value to a firm for making an endowment of a life-saving gift to all alumni of a particular law school is limited only by the imagination of the firm's marketing department. Every big law firm knows what it's worth to them to be the giver of that gift. The goodwill to the lawyers in need of the program is obvious. Once the alumni of a school are told about the gift, and once the school's students understand the value and purpose behind the Lawyer's Crier, there is no reason to think the law schools won't be delighted to support the goal of helping their graduates succeed right from the start of their careers. What law school doesn't want to be known for that? There are about 200 law schools in the United States and maybe 10 more in Canada, and we can reach virtually all lawyers with the ABA support. In that way, the ABA can make it possible for organizations in fields of substance addiction, mental health, and suicide prevention to connect with troubled lawyers. Importantly, the Lawyer's Crier will carry monthly submissions from leading addiction and mental health organizations, including specifically the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Mental Health America, AA-type NGOs, and any other nonprofit that exists to promote the well-being of troubled people, including lawyers. By simply supporting this approach, the ABA can bring the right resources to the lawyers who are caving under the pressure of the practice of law. And it can all happen right away. It's a turnkey solution, ready to go. How magic is that? But there's even more magic. The main domain for this newsletter, namely on the Judging the Law website, will carry the banner and links to the ABA, to the Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation, to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and rehab and suicide prevention programs, along with a directory of mentors at law, and links to helpful information on dealing with stress, such as yoga and nutrition, meditation, just to name a few. In addition to the main domain, each law school will also have a subdomain of its own, showing their law school and the firm that made the endowment. So every monthly newsletter will promote and link to both the school and the firm making the endowment. Every issue will provide content supplied by all the various stakeholders that have helped to offer a troubled lawyer. It's all about well-being because well-being goes beyond the actual practice of law and yet impacts competency more than anyone knows. But there's more magic even than that. Prepare for the denouement. Because Judging the Law will be a for-profit public purpose corporation, there will be streams of income, including advertising, which will be used to fund the newsletter and the subdomain operations. Riding along on the newsletter's digital train will cost these organizations nothing. But it's even better than that. The newsletter will generate advertising income, which 501c organizations can't generate. But the ABA, by its thumbs up alone, will deserve the credit for opening up the stream of innovation inside the legal system. Thus, this company will be happy to donate 40% of its net profit from the newsletter to the ABA and wellness NGOs. So that's the essence of the magic of mutualism. Everyone wins when mutualism is the foundation. The legal community will be made better by accepting help from the wellness community, which will be made better through the expansion of their outreach, at no cost to either community. They each get a free ride because they came together to create the digital train. Law schools get to give something of great value to their alumni, and the alumni get something of great value for free from a law firm who wants to be of service. The alumni associations and their law schools get to let everyone know that they support their alumni being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And judges and their associations know how an emotionally imbalanced attorney impairs the quality of justice in our courts. Every judge's life is made simpler, and the wheels of justice roll smoother when lawyers are healthy, wealthy, and wise. This is why the Inns of Court was formed, to improve the quality of lawyering in our courts and to promote mentoring. Law firms of any size are acutely sensitive to the consequences and cost of the lawyers who are succumbing to the stress, anxiety, and depression that accompany the legal profession, because wealthy and wise depend upon healthy. And the costs to law firms when they lose a lawyer to the emotional imbalance coming from the hardship of the profession is huge. The actual dollar impact when a firm loses a lawyer, associate, or partner to addictions or depression or other mental illness or to suicide is huge. In a white paper prepared by legal talent consultants J.D. Match and The Right Profile, using statistical data from the NALP, noted that it costs a law firm over $250,000 to recruit one first-year associate and over $400,000 when that associate leaves the firm. It also noted that 57% of lawyers who leave a firm leave the law altogether. It also noted that the majority of attorneys would choose not to become lawyers if they had another choice. Not surprising, then, that lawyers suffer nearly quadruple the clinical depression rates of the average occupation. Here's another important statistic. Including depression and substance abuse, more than 30% of attorneys qualify for mental health intervention. And the clients of firms are happier with firms who protect the continuity of a client's case by avoiding lawyer turnover and reassignments. And insurance companies are directly profited by the risk management fostered by an 8-hour mentoring course for new lawyers. And insurance companies are also profited when lawyers are healthy, wealthy, and wise because competency is up and claims are down. And state lapse are profited because they have a free ride to reach their target market of troubled lawyers, and client recovery funds are preserved when fewer clients suffer claims And Inns of Court. Get an opportunity for a free ride to all lawyers, some of whom might be delighted to learn about the Inns of Court. And last to be mentioned are the wellness NGOs, who are able to get a free ride to the people who are suffering from lack of strategies to deal with personal and emotional issues affecting their well-being. By giving wellness NGOs an audience in need of their wares, there likely will be growth in that industry, which is a very good thing. We don't have to continue along this path to unhappiness. The ABA's campaign for lawyer well-being can get supercharged. Like bees and flowers need each other for their long-term survival, so the legal community needs the wellness community for the legal system's long-term survival. Bringing them together to help each other costs money they can't afford, but that others are willing to fund. It profits everyone when lawyers spend their days doing what they want to do. It's like Bob Dylan said, "A man is a success if he gets up in the morning and gets to bed at night, and in between he does what he wants to do." That's the kind of success JudgingTheLaw.com wants for lawyers. Surely it's what everyone wants for lawyers. Through mutualistic cooperation, we can make it happen.